Hello and welcome. This is Enlightened Connections, a space where unseen threads are illuminated between people and spirit, between animals and their humans, and between the everyday and the extraordinary. I'm your host, Lisa Aston Michael, medium, healer, and animal communicator. And I invite you each week to join me as I share conversations and practices that bring light, healing, and connection into your world. Welcome, everybody near and far. Today on Enlightened Connections, I'm joined by a remarkable guest whose work is nothing short of transformational. She is an energy shifter and activator, a womb healer, past life therapist, psychic medium, and kinesiologist, multidimensional practitioner, devoted to guiding women back to the truth of who they are at the very core of their essence. Her mission is to help women remember their ancient wisdom, reconnecting with their inner priestess codes, and step into the power that they were born to embody. Through her signature experience, the Sacred Soul Awakening Call, she blends kinesiology, psychic insight, mediumship, womb healing, past life regression, and deep energetic mastery to dissolve all patterns, awaken purpose, and ignite a profound inner transformation. Her work is powerful, sacred, and designed for light leaders, healers, guides, seekers, and all those who are ready to rise into their highest potential. I'm honored to welcome her to the show, and I can already tell this is going to be a deeply activating conversation. Welcome, Stephanie Hew.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to have this talk with you as well.
The divine has been sending all sorts of U-turns and forks in the road, and technology has been playing a little bit of a devil, but we finally have got there. So I'm going to dive straight into this. Steph, your work weaves together womb healing, past life therapy, psychic insight, and energy activation. So when someone steps into the Sacred Soul Awakening Call, what's the first shift that you notice happening within them, even before the deeper healing begins?
That's a good question. I feel like when someone steps into these sessions, they're very particular women, and it's really all about refining themselves again, like to their core essence. And it's like there's something there that's really holding them back, and it's, we're ready to strip that back, that layer back. And a lot of these women have, I feel like we're already going there already, but I feel like a lot of these women have core witch wounds, the witch wound, which is something that I primarily work with. And that's very much associated with not feeling confident within yourself, within your authenticity. And there's so many layers and depth to that.
Your work weaves together womb healing, past life therapy, psychic insight, and energy activation. So when someone steps into the Sacred Soul Awakening Call, what's the first shift that you notice happening within them, even before the deeper healing begins?
I feel like women that come in with that session, there's always something there that's ready to be released. It's like a layer that needs to be stripped back. And it's basically something that's preventing them to express their pure essence that's within, that is basically who we really are, and to remember who we are. And it's really about stripping that away. And I find a lot of the women that do come to me with this particular thing, there's always kind of like witch wound traits there as well. So we work on that as well. And that's really being comfortable and confident in expressing yourself and your authenticity, but also expressing like any abilities that you might have and feeling confident and comfortable in that area, because there is a lot of fear and a lot of vulnerability there as well.
Mm.
So I hope
I,
that answers your question.
yes, it does. And I did read somewhere or hear somewhere that women that had the witch wound often had a very difficult time expressing their voice in the current incarnation that they're in. Fear of persecution was the main undercurrent there, and especially those that have got expressed psychic abilities in this incarnation, or telepathic abilities, or mediumship ability. That witch wound is very much alive in them, saying, don't do this work because you will lose your life. You may lose your life if you do this work. Of course, we're in a different time now where it's comfortable and relatively safe. Still, some countries, I guess it's probably not, but on the whole, we're fairly safe to come forward in the Western culture and say, this is who we are and this is what we do. But do you find that many of the people that come to you have that same scenario happening in their life?
Yeah, 100%. It's such a big wounding that a lot of people aren't even familiar that they even have that within them. And usually as well, it will dive into exploring those past lives. And it's not usually just one, there's usually multiple. And it's kind of like the more you have and the more you've stood in your authenticity and been killed for doing that, the more you're going to have a harder time in being able to express yourself and be confident in what you do. And even with, there's another big characteristic that is like the fear of the unknown, like so many people that kind of dive into spiritual development, they want to go deeper and deeper, but then they hit kind of like a brick wall where it's like, I know that, if I keep going, like I'm going to get somewhere, but I'm really scared, scared of what I'll experience, but it's actually the core wounding there is you're scared of your power, your own authenticity.
Wow, that's super interesting, because it is a big step, isn't it? It's a big step moving into your higher power, because you lose a lot on the way through. You lose people that no longer know who you are because you've changed so much. You've stepped into your authentic self, not the self that you tried to be
Yeah.
to appease and please other people and fit in. Because many, when you awaken to these abilities that are inherent in you, and I don't know, you're the expert on this, but I feel that everybody has that higher awareness. They move into the higher awareness of their higher selves. Everybody has their higher self, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But when you wake up to that, when you heal those wounds, you don't become a different person. You become who you actually always were. But the people around you, your social life, either the things that you do, the things that you participated in, that all changes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How do you help people cope with those changes in their lives?
That's a good question. I feel like it's not there's not really one specific, I step into my authenticity and now it changes, it evolves and everything's stripped back. We have multiple evolutions throughout this lifetime. The important thing is to remember that there's not just one baseline. We have multiple shedding, multiple layers that shed. And the thing that I always trying to help my clients understand is that you have to go through the darkness to get to the light. It's not, for most of us anyway, it's not always a pleasant experience. But then that on the other side of that is a better like, I don't want to say the grass is greener on the other side, but, it's like there's newer opportunities, you're stepping into a higher timeline, a higher frequency, things that align better with who you become will become more aligned to you. You'll meet more soul aligned friends and clients and, all of the things you desire.
I'm certainly finding that in my own life, from going from professional musician to doing this kind of work that I do now. It was easily a 3 to 5 year transit. You were talking about people going through dark times. Do you relate that to the dark night of the soul, that kind of experience where you're really going into that space? And it's a journey, isn't it?
100%. And like, I feel like there's not just one, there's always multiple, but then we also have little like mini ones. That's the best way I can word that. But we have mini ones and we have the big ones, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. Just when you think you've gotten through it, something else will come along and you'll go, oh, hang on a minute, maybe I haven't exactly cleared that stage yet. Maybe there's still some residual stuff left over. You talk about helping women remembering their priestess codes. I'm really interested in that. And you talk about reconnecting with their ancient wisdom. So for the listeners hearing this term for the first time, what does that remembrance truly feel like? And how does it begin to change the trajectory of people's lives?
That's a good question. So for me, I'm going to use me for an example. It's the best way to explain it. Ever since I was a little girl, I always felt this deep connection to ancient Egypt, Atlantis, priestesses, witches, obviously, but anything that's really just this ancient, elegant energy, And as I stepped into this work, you realize that you know that there's something bigger. You're here for something bigger than the standard, like, I don't want to call it the standard, but Reiki, for example, like, you've got a bigger mission than just to be a Reiki practitioner. And a lot of these women that have these priestess codes, they feel that to their core, and they feel there's so much within them that they feel like they're just here to do a really big mission. And when you hear the call, it's kind of like you just know, you have this deep inner knowing, and it doesn't have to relate to spiritual abilities. Feeling that call, you just know to the depths of your whole being. And when we dive into this work, as it unfolds, you start to remember things. You start to remember this mission, and you start to remember that you've done this sort of work for many, many lifetimes, and you've signed up to step back into it, basically.
I love that you say that you remember. There's something inside that you remember. Because something weird, I have always been able to feel the colour turquoise. It's the only colour I can feel. And I'm not a synesthetic. Can't believe I actually said that right. But I'm not a synesthetic. No, I can't. I don't feel any other colour. But turquoise to me has always been a very powerful feeling of home. The moment I see turquoise, I feel it in the cells of my body. And I actually had this beautiful woman who does Dolores Cannon therapy. And the moment I met her, amazing. She looked at me and said, "Are you Mintakan?" And I said, "No, I'm Australian." she said, "Yeah, but you know what Mintaka is?" And I said, "Not really, no." And she explained to me where Mintaka was, and that it was the water planet, and that the water there was much less dense than here and was turquoise. And I went, oh, pieced it all together.
Wow. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I got it. But I always thought that was normal. I always thought, I didn't stop to think it was not a part of normal. It was very strange. But I think that that's an interesting
Yeah.
thing. Many women come from Egypt. You know, you've got that DNA, that line of history. It's interesting if you look back right through it. So I think it's super interesting that we can remember. We do remember, but we don't realize we remember. Does that make sense?
100%. It's I've had that I'm like, I remember so much that I forget that some people don't even acknowledge that it's a thing.
It's a thing, and it's part of who we are in this, in this life, in this incarnation as well. So, priestess codes, is that what you're speaking of as being priestess codes? These powerful women through the centuries. Mary Magdalene, for instance, was completely misconstrued and misrepresented. And even, not getting too religious at all, but in the Bible, there was this whole gospel of women that was removed.
Yeah. It's basically throughout history, women have been pushed aside and their powers been minimized. And it's this, I just feel within this lifetime, the souls that have incarnated in this lifetime that are bringing back their priestess codes and activating that, we're bringing back that big feminine energy and reawakening a lot of priestess lineage.
And is it not specifically women, it's the female energy, so it could be guys as well. That, because we all have the male and the female energy within us, but it has been a very male-dominated energy on the planet, Capricorn energy, government, control, very masculine, war, violence, aggression, all of that sort of thing. And now we're shifting, as you say, we're shifting into the yin, the feminine energy of acceptance and understanding, but not to be mistaken, because women are very powerful. Women birth children.
Yeah. 100%.
Men can't do that. If I ever meet a man that has, I want to be his manager, but I haven't to date seen it. So I want to see something more powerful than that, than bringing life into being.
Totally. And I'm definitely for equality, but I specifically only work with women with the priestess codes because, exactly like you're saying, we have a womb. So we utilize that through these practices as well.
There was something about womb healing. I introduced womb healing. What is womb healing? How do you do that work?
So womb healing is where we primarily focus on the womb. The womb is such a complex being because it is its own being. And any emotions that are stored within the body are stored within the womb. And that also is with anyone. You can store other people's emotions within your own womb. If you're intimate with someone, you have all of that. It's basically like taking everything energetically from their being and storing it in your womb. It's like a big file, and you then have that within your womb for 7 years unless you energetically remove it. So you're walking around with, if you've been intimate with someone highly toxic, for example, you're going to have all of those negative emotions and energy and energetic imprints stored within your own cells, within your own body, until it is released or until that time frame is gone.
That's super interesting. And I suppose for women that might have been violated as well, it's important to have that energy shifted and removed once and for all.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it even extends to, past lives, ancestral trauma, obviously birth, postpartum, pregnancy, miscarriage, anything also related to that area as well.
Mm. That's the sacral chakra, is it? Am I right there? The sacral chakra. So,
Yes. Yeah.
and for women, that's a biggie, isn't it? It's a biggie, I would imagine.
Yeah, 100%. A lot of the clients I see, that is always the biggest area we focus on, that and the throat. And they also mirror each other as well.
Mm.
So if one's out, it's usually the other one's a bit out as well.
Isn't that interesting? Because, we were just talking earlier about the witch wound and feeling that we haven't got a voice, or that if we use our voice and speak our truth, it puts us at great risk. I know that you work with women from all walks of life, but I know also that many light leaders and healers feel stuck at a threshold. They have a sense that they're meant for something bigger. You were speaking earlier about this sense that we have of knowing, but they're not sure how to access it. So I'm curious how your multidimensional work, incorporating and employing all the skills that you have, how do you help to dissolve those invisible barriers and guide these light workers and healers into their highest potential?
I love that question. So I really love diving into belief at work and programming, so rewiring those core woundings, because I find that that is a really big thing for holding us back, but then also layering that with past life work as well. So accessing information to help remember and bring back memories, but then also if there's any other underlying traumas and wounds that are preventing them from stepping forward, to working on that and clearing that out as well.
Mm. So if I came to you and I said, look, I think I get this feeling I'm for a bigger path or a specific path, or I'm being called as something, is some healer of some kind, but I'm not really sure what. But I can tell you that my background was very difficult in this life. How can you help me? Where do I begin? Where do we start with that?
I love that. I would definitely firstly see what you're okay with, because some people, they do want to know, but if they're not ready, it can be quite overwhelming. So for example, if we went into a past life that was very confronting, but they weren't ready to face that. So I always see where everyone's at. If you're happy to just go dive deep in and just go wherever, we go, I would definitely look into past life work, and I would usually pick up with my senses, and my insight, what sort of area you'd be working in, if that makes sense. There's always characteristics for different light leaders, light workers. So sometimes I can pick up the energy of someone, say, for example, that has shaman characteristics, really earthbound, if that makes sense. Whereas the priestess energy, it feels different. It feels more really on the spiritual realm, if that makes sense.
I actually understand that. I'm sort of feeling, I had an image of Cleopatra just then in my mind's eye, and there was this kind of royalty
cool.
and this existential energy about her that you couldn't name, you couldn't really name. And there are women through history that you can't put your finger on it. There's an energy about them. There's a higher frequency about them that really doesn't have a name or a description.
Yeah.
That must be very difficult if you
Totally.
encounter somebody like that, to work with them and uncover that, work through the veil and the layers of their physical life.
Yeah, I do find a lot of women that have these traits and these codes are women that, haven't really had an easy life. They come here to a lot of them come here with multiple missions. Some come here to be the black sheep of the family, to heal ancestral wounding, but then also they're here to be on this higher mission, assisting on the physical for, what's going on the spiritual realms, and then some of them are also here to reactivate the priestess lineage, to bring that forward and actively use those abilities and ancient teachings to bring it all back.
Is there druid teaching in what you do? Is there a form of druid teaching, or there is? Yeah.
I do love the druids. Yeah. I don't specifically like, I don't know how to word this, but I haven't gone and done some courses, or I haven't learnt about something that I've applied it myself. I've stripped it back to bringing in the information that I know that applies from my own memory.
As you're talking, I'm thinking to myself, I don't even know why I asked that question, because I'm tuning into you, and you're more like your history or your lineage or your line is from like ancient Mesopotamia, prior to Egypt, around that area of the Middle Eastern area. And I can feel that in you. And I'm surprised you don't have a tattoo somewhere on your arm. I keep seeing it. I don't know why, but I keep seeing it. And it's like a band.
Whereabouts?
I don't know.
Yeah,
sort of on the
right.
underarm or something like that. There's something there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been seeing and feeling a tattoo on my right arm recently. So it's funny you bring that up.
Yeah. And it's almost Aztec-y, but it's not Aztec. It's not Aztec, but it's Aztec-y, that kind of geometric. And I think it's this is me doing a reading for Steph, but that's okay. It seems to be something symbolic for you, and it seems to be coming to raise your energy for the work that you're doing. But it's definitely geometrical. Was that something you were thinking of, or it's kind of like a band, but
100%.
So I think that's important.
Yeah,
so I have no idea why I asked the druid question. I think it was probably my own curiosity.
So.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, love it.
But I can definitely see you working with the elements as well for some reason. Anyway, I better stop doing a reading for you and keep asking you about your work.
I love it.
For some reason, it was important for you to understand that and know that. So if you're questioning whether you should or shouldn't,
thank you.
Maybe not now, maybe later, but it's coming for you and it's important for you anyway in your work.
Yeah.
It's something to do with fire.
You.
Do you do fire ceremony or something like that? Okay, so it's something to do with fire.
I have been,
fire ceremony for you. So, but I love the work. I really feel that it's a very important time right now for you doing the work that you do. And kinesiology is an interesting form of therapy, isn't it? I suppose it's not therapy, really. It's reading the energy, isn't it? And does that play a big part in what you do, or do you work mainly with the energy side of things?
Yeah, so I've always loved kinesiology since I was a child. I used to go and have sessions, and I was just so fascinated. It was almost like a magic trick, You'd watch your body answering questions and you're like, oh, and it's so spot on. And then I learnt kinesiology a few years ago, but I actually learnt a particular type of kinesiology that I don't actually like.
Oh.
But I was like, well, I'll still keep going. Yeah. It's very scientific based. So it's very muscular, scientific, physical. It's called Touch for Health. I don't know if you're familiar with the types of kinesiology, but it's less it's less energetic. It's like the least energetic type of kinesiology. And I completed my course and I was like, oh, okay, well, I don't know what to do now with it. And then the light bulb comes on and my inner knowing's like, because you were not meant to learn the other type of kinesiology. You are meant to learn the basics of this one so you can craft it into your own thing. So I use it, but I've kind of formulated my own type of, I don't really want to call it kinesiology, but my own way of utilizing kinesiology techniques within my work.
Okay.
But everything's mostly energetic, yeah.
Yeah. And the psychic insight that you have, well, I guess that tells you, helps you pinpoint and focus what's going on with your client and what it is that's perhaps blocking them or what they need to work with to be able to help them clear that path for them. Past life regression's an interesting thing, isn't it? How much do you feel it plays a part in people's current incarnations?
Yeah, so do you mean like past life cycles?
Well, things that
Is that
they
what you
might
mean?
bring in with them into this life that do they
Yeah.
really need it? Do they really need it? Is it time for it to heal, or is it an asset to bring into this life? Is it something to help, or is it something to let go of?
Past life work is definitely one of my favorite things to dive into. I do regression work, the hypnosis regression, but then I also do, I can see it as they're witnessing it, or if they can't access it for whatever reason, I can access it through my own information. I find that something like 98% of the time, any root causes can be caused by past life traumas and wounds. So that can be physical, that can be emotional, that can be mental, any cycles that keep reoccurring. And it really helps people pinpoint things, like, for example, I had one client once that she had so many lifetimes where she'd lose babies and children, and in this lifetime she felt very clingy to her children and felt very uneased all the time, like on edge, and she couldn't pinpoint why that was. And then we discovered it was because she had lost so many children and babies throughout past lives that it felt unsafe. It felt like that cycle could repeat, but this was the lifetime when that cycle ends.
That's a big thing, isn't it? Because you hear a lot of that happening, miscarriages and things like that, and you think, why? Why do they keep occurring with some people? Why do some women only have the one child? It's perfectly healthy, perfectly normal, perfectly everything, but that's it. They can't have any more than that.
Yeah.
So Stephanie, if someone wants to come to you for a session, do they have to be in person, or can you do that over Zoom?
Yeah, so I primarily work over Zoom. At the moment, I'm not taking people in person, but next year I want to get back into that because I do love doing in-person sessions. I find that really, really special, like it's kind of like a deeper connection for them.
Okay. And your website is persephoneessence.com. I might spell that because I'll also put it in the links to the episode notes, but it's PERSEPHONESSENCE.com, persephoneessence.com. And you also have a podcast, Persephone's Essence, on Spotify. And you're on YouTube, and people can reach you on Instagram as well at Persephone Essence. So there's lots of different ways for people to reach out to you and get some more information, go a little bit deeper as to what you offer, how your sessions work, and the beautiful work that you do to bring women back to the core of their true essence. So, Stephanie Hew, I'd like to thank you very, very much for your time today. We've done exceptionally well through these technical glitches, but I would like to thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. It's been
You're very
really great.
welcome. Bye for now.
All right.
Thank you so much for being here and tuning into Enlightened Connections. I truly hope today's episode offered you something to reflect on, expand into, or feel more deeply connected to, whether within yourself or with the animals and spirit world around you. If you enjoyed this conversation, please follow or subscribe to the show and share it with someone you feel may benefit from it as well. It's one of the most supportive ways you can help this podcast reach more hearts, more homes, and more animal lovers. And if you'd like to stay connected in between episodes, come join me inside the Enlightened Connections podcast Facebook community. I'd absolutely love to have you there. Until next time, take gentle care, stay connected, and trust the whispers.